Yesterday, I got an email from my corporate HR and the leadership congratulating me on 5 years with this company in this role as an enterprise architect. And that got me to reflect on this role and in general about enterprise architecture and the tenure of enterprise architects. I have been an enterprise architect for the past couple of decades. I spent about 8 to 10 years as an EA consultant working for a multinational company. And that role was pretty dynamic, would keep me on my toes. I would hop from one client to the other, focused on delivering on their SOWs and their strategies that they had defined, taking an outsider's view as a consultant. And that was pretty dynamic in more ways than one. Physically challenging because you had to be on your toes and travel from one location to the other every week, every couple of months to a new client. And after doing that for 8 to 10 years, I then moved to a full-time enterprise architect role for a multinational called Syngenta. I spent a good part of about 4.5 years with them, working on their business strategies with their corporate functions domain. As an enterprise architect, as a business architect, and multiple hats that I wore. And then I relocated and then took on an enterprise architect role with a large services company, Conduent, on their professional services, business process and process outsourcing services. Pretty dynamic, pretty engaging role. Spent about a year, but the company was languishing. So I decided to switch gears. I have been an enterprise architect in this organization. It's a large multinational medtech company, and I'm based in Asia Pacific, based in Bangalore. And I was hired into what they call the Offshore Development Center when it was in a growth trajectory. And this was just before the pandemic in 2019. So I had a dual focus, building teams of architects in the ODC, and then enabling business partners across the region in Asia Pacific. Of course, a year after I joined, the strategy shifted when the leaders decided to outsource the ODC to a vendor. But I remained, and my focus continued to work on the APAC strategy, working with the global EAs and the Asia Pacific roadmaps. Of course, along the way, the CIO left the organization. The global EA function was disbanded. A few global roles were eliminated, while others, including me, remained in the organization focused on our domains, our regions, and our areas of focus. A new CIO came on board, hired another EA leader who is now bringing in global teams together and starting to revamp the global strategy. In the meantime, the CIO also has a mandate to resurrect the ODCs, the Offshore Development Strategy in India, which is coming a full circle. So it's going to be an interesting ride, to say the least. While I remain in this role as an enterprise architect and continue to grow and thrive, I see a lot of change across the organization, which is what keeps me on my toes. So while riding the waves of internal changes, of course, I continue to focus on the business strategy because at the end of the day, business is what is funding us. The business growth is what is funding our growth and our livelihoods. So there is a continuum of technology evaluation, investments in roadmaps, and roadmap realization that I continue to get engaged with. And in my role, I continue to thrive because I'm expected and recognized as the trusted technology advisor to my stakeholders and partners. So which kind of brings us back to the question, what is the average tenure of an enterprise architect? So every new functional leader, CXO or a CIO will want to leave their footprint in an organization. So as an EA, you either write those changes, be a part of those changes in the organization, or sometimes EAs will decide, no, that is not their cup of tea. They want to move on to greener pastures. Some will seize the transformation and take on other EA roles or other internal roles, other IT or business roles in the organization. Some will move on to other organizations looking for greener pastures or roles that align with the personal aspirations. And a few, like me, may continue a longer tenure focused on their work-life balance. So, in a nutshell, there's no set tenure, and it really depends on organization and the individual's alignment with the organization and the changing dynamics.